Good morning, everyone. Just want to make sure everybody can hear me. If you can, anybody who's got your screen on, just give me a thumbs up. Great. Let me just check in with my court reporter to make sure she's ready before I officially call the hearing. Tracy, are you ready?
Good morning, I'm ready.
You can hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. Now calling proceeding number 24M-0274R. This is a proceeding that concerns the development of template construction and maintenance agreements and preliminary engineering agreements for use in public crossing projects over which the Commission has jurisdiction, as required by Rule 7214, the Commission's rules regulating railroads, rail fixed skyways, transportation by rail, and rail crossings found at 4 Code of Colorado Regulation 723-7. This hearing was scheduled by decision number R25-0346-I on May 14th. It is September 8th, 2025 at approximately 10 o'clock a.m. My name is Melody Mirbaba, and I'm the administrative law judge who was assigned to hear this case. Just let everybody know that consistent with commission practice, we are recording and live webcasting both the video and the audio of this hearing. The webcast will continue during any breaks that we may take, so please keep that in mind. To make sure that we've got a clear record, I want to ask everybody, keep your microphones muted until it is your turn to speak. Also, we do have a court reporter taking down everything that's being said. I want to start by finding out who we have here today, but I'm really only interested in hearing from those who plan to speak and participate in today's hearing, because I know there might be some people who are just here to observe. And if you're just here to observe, you do not need to speak up. So if there is more than one person who's here on behalf of a single entity, I'm going to ask that the first person who is called upon to please introduce the others that are there with you on behalf of your entity, and that will save us some time. I'd like for those of you who plan to participate and speak during today's hearing to use the raise a hand feature now so that I know who I need to call on. You can do that by going to the reactions feature and clicking raise a hand. All right, so let's get started. I'm going to call on the screen names of those who have used the raise a hand feature. Let me start with the person identified as Caitlin Warner.
Good morning, Your Honor. Caitlin Warner here on behalf of BNSF.
Is there anybody else on behalf of BNSF that you can introduce?
Not currently.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I'll call on the person identified as Brandon Dittman.
Thank you, Your Honor. Brandon Dittman of Wilson, Williams, Feldman, Dittman, representing the Colorado Communication and Utilities Alliance, the City of Arvada, the City of Aurora, the City of Fort Collins, Yuma County, and maybe some more municipalities I'm going to start remembering that are also CCWA members.
Did you say Yuma County too?
Yuma County now too, yes.
All right, thank you. Mr. Dittman, is there anybody also here on behalf of any of the entities that you are representing?
Yeah, Miss Heather Jarvis has her hand raised for Fort Collins.
Okay, great. I will get that in the next. No, Miss Jarvis, I've got you now, so I don't need to call on you. Okay. Let's see. I'll call on the person identified as Josephine Jordan.
Yes, good morning, Your Honor. Josephine Jordan, Union Pacific Railroad. I also, too, have Sean Lenka. Sean has done a wonderful job actually helping to facilitate the workshop. So we may also, too, call on Sean Lenka, too, as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let me call on the person identified on the screen as Chris Pratt.
Thank you. Chris Pratt with the Douglas County Attorney's Office.
All right, thank you. Just want to make sure I have called on everybody who has used the raise a hand feature. And I do not see anybody else. Okay, so I think I've captured everybody. If I don't, just reuse your raise a hand feature and I'll call on you. So The purpose of this hearing is to hear from participants on the results of the negotiations and discussions about consensus template agreements for the commission to approve for use pursuant to Rules 7214 for CCR 723-7. When we last met, the participants were close to finalizing a template construction and maintenance agreement for at-grade crossing projects, which BNSF would then work from to make minor changes that are just specific to BNSF that could also be used. During our last hearing, everybody agreed that the next template agreement you would work on would be for construction and maintenance agreement for grade separated crossings. I also asked all of you to confer and talk about whether a template preliminary engineering agreement could be used for any type of crossing project over which the commission has jurisdiction. So I do want to hear from the parties on that. I also will note that the decision that was issued, I believe it was R25-0533-I, set a August 8th deadline for participants to meet to discuss those matters. So I just want to see if somebody would be willing to raise your hand so you can volunteer to update me. When did you meet? How did it go? Or what is the status? And then I'm particularly interested in whether the participants have reached a consensus that preliminary engineering agreements can be used for all types of crossing projects over which the commission has jurisdiction. All right, Mr. Denman, thank you for volunteering to update me. Please go ahead when you're ready.
Thank you, Your Honor. So since no one is volunteering, I guess I'll do my best to try to summarize. So we did meet, looks like August 25th, among the stakeholders to go through the template agreements we're working on. I would say we are done, if not very close to done, on the at-grade agreement with Union Pacific. We've kind of been over that one extensively, just kind of really fine-tuning a few things at the last meeting. But I would say that the substance of that agreement is complete at this point for all intents and purposes. There may be some cleanup here and there, but for the most part, it is done. We have then also received from Union Pacific the grade separated crossing for them, which will be the next one we're working on in terms of new agreements. We also received from BNSF, and I was trying to check on the date, I think it was the 28th, their version of the at-grade template proceeding, which we have not met yet to discuss. But that's, I think mostly where we're at this point is we're pretty much done with the UP at grade. We received the BNSF at grade, which I think none of us have really looked at any sort of detail given when we got it. And we've also received the grade separated from UP.
Okay, so did everybody reach a consensus on whether a template preliminary engineering agreement could be used for any type of crossing project?
I don't think we've reached that consensus yet. I mean, I'd be interested what the other parties have said. I don't think we haven't discussed any sort of detail. I mean, of course, our interest is to make this as simple as possible to the extent that there could be a universal one. We would certainly appreciate that. But, I think the other parties have weighed in any sort of detail on that.
Okay. All right, I see that Ms. Werner has raised a hand. So Ms. Werner, would you like to add to that update?
Yes, thank you. And I apologize. I didn't raise my hand earlier because I couldn't remember the specific dates we had met. I think we've actually met more than once, if I recall. But yes, I mean, I must be for Union Pacific, but in my mind, it seems like we're 99% there. I circulated, excuse me, BNSF's agreement. I believe it was 2 weeks ago, and correct with what Mr. Dittman said is we haven't received any feedback. And sorry. We also have not discussed the engineering that it sounds like the parties need to do.
Okay, and I see that Ms. Jordan has used the raise a hand feature. Ms. Jordan, why don't you add whatever you'd like to?
Yes, Your Honor, just adding and agreeing with what Mr. Dittman has stated, that in regards to the template for the at grade, I think we are at the finish line with regards to that. We also too are utilizing that as basically the leverage point to be able to, for those terms that we were able to reach agreement on, to have that be the springboard for the grade separation. So we think that there's a good road path there for being able to reach resolution 2 as well. And as Mr. Dittman stated, we have not really started on the preliminary engineering agreement at this point.
Okay. And Mr. Dittman, you still have the raise hand feature, so did you want to add anything more?
Yeah, just a couple of clarifications, on the dates that are specific. So we did meet twice. We also met on the 12th of August. I was just checking my calendar, and that we received the BNSF templates on the 26th of August. Just wanted to correct the record on the exact dates. Your Honor, you're muted.
Yeah, I just figured that out. Sorry. So thank you all for the updates. And Ms. Jordan, I also just want to express that I appreciate that you highlighted that the negotiations you all have done thus far are going to help with the future agreements. That does make actually a lot of sense. I am hoping we can kind of do things a little bit quicker. We're going to be coming up on almost a year, and we might already be at a year. And one of the reasons why we're taking our time to do this right is because I know that that happens in every single one of these crossings where it takes a significant amount of time to reach these kinds of agreements. So I'm hoping doing this right and taking our time is going to help all of you in the long run. Ms. Jarvis, did you have something you wanted to add?
Yes, Your Honor. I just wanted to add that we have also been quite all the parties proactive with scheduling items, and we already have our next matter scheduled, or our next group meeting scheduled to go over the at grade with BNSF and the grade separated with UP, and that is scheduled for it. Please correct me, anyone, if it's wrong, but I have it on September 24th at 10 a.m. So we're already like moving forward with the next meeting scheduled.
Great, wonderful, thank you. Okay, so I think we just should. I think what we're doing so far is working. It is slow going, but it is working. And these are agreements that everybody's going to sign. So I think we have to continue to follow the path that we're doing. If it looks to me like we're not getting progress, then I will change things up. But right now, I think we're having good, solid progress. So I want to continue along the same path that we have done thus far, unless somebody gives me any other ideas, which I am certainly open to. I'm thinking what we can do today is I'll set at least 2 more hearings. And alongside that, since you guys are already planning to meet on September 24th, I'll put that in as the deadline to meet prior to the next upcoming hearing. But why don't we start with the hearing dates, and then we can kind of go from there. I was looking at, let's see, December 9th at 2 o'clock. Unless anybody has a real problem with that, and if you do, please use the raise a hand feature. Okay. Ms. Jarvis? I see that you've used the raise a hand feature.
Yes,
Okay.
yep. Sorry, I clicked the wrong button. I turned my screen off instead of on. Is there any chance that it could begin at 2:30 instead of 2 o'clock on that day?
I could do 2:30. I could also do 1 o'clock if that would be easier.
No, 2:30 is better. We just have a kind of a standing meeting on the Tuesdays.
Okay, let me just
Ends at
make
2:30.
sure. I just want to verify that. I'm not promising something that I can't deliver. Let me just make sure. Yes, 2:30 is fine.
Thank you.
We'll do December 9th at 2:30. And then I'm looking at February 24th in the afternoon. Could be 2:30. Let me see. February 9th. I'm sorry, February 24th, I apologize, at 2:30. If anybody has a problem with that, let me know by using the raise a hand feature. Okay, I'm going to just note for the record, nobody has indicated an issue with that time, that date and time. So those are the two dates. Those are our two next hearing dates, December 9th at 2:30 and February 24th at 2:30. I'm going to go ahead and set that one up like we did for this one where folks will have to register. But that link to register will be on our website. I will set September 21st, 4th as the deadline to meet prior to our December hearing date. And then since I know we're going to be meeting on February 24th, I will, let's see if I can set. All right, I'm going to set the deadline to meet prior to the February 24th hearing as January 23rd. Seems that in the past hearings, if I have set that deadline too close to the hearing, then I've got almost no progress. So I want to give a month in between. That way, if you want to meet again, you can. You can always meet earlier than these two dates. I'm only setting these so that we make sure you do get to meet. I would like you all to also continue to talk about the preliminary engineering agreements. I would really like to hear from everybody on that at the next hearing, whether you all agree that one template could be used for all types of crossing projects. Okay, is there anything else that we should address before we adjourn the hearing? And just use the raise a hand feature to let me know if you've got anything we ought to address. Okay, I'm just going to note for the record that nobody has used the raise hand feature. And therefore, I will just thank you all for your for appearing and also for all of your hard work and your efforts to get these agreements in place and finalized. I will see you all at the next hearing. I will be issuing a written decision summarizing what has happened here today and setting those two hearings. There will also be instructions provided on joining the hearing, the next two hearings. All right, thank you all. Our hearing will be adjourned now.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.